for this simple layout, the tools that we require will be the 12-inch trimmer and a decorative blade. I'm going to use a Victorian blade, possibly a pair of scissors, and your tape runners, your adhesives. I've got the repositionable here and the standard tape runner. So they're the tools I will be using. And I've chosen some photos from Mount Dandenong Botanical Gardens. So the papers I'm going to be using is Hello Autumn, and I will need one sheet of the tone on tone for the backing, which I've chosen this green, and 2 sheets of designer paper, which I've chosen this lovely leaf pattern, and it has this lovely blue on the back, and I don't need a whole sheet of that, but I will need a whole sheet. And I've chosen this red. It has this more subdued pattern on the back, but I think I'm going to be using the red, and 2 sheets of cardstock, in which I have chosen a steel colour from our latest cardstock buffet to put it all together. So this is really quite a simple layout. Our theme is back to basic, so I tried to keep it fairly simple. And what we'll need to do is start with one of our sheets of cardstock, and then with the green that's going to go on the back there. And we'll need to move everything else away. Now I've picked out some embellishments as well, and we'll need to just move everything away. To start by using our 12-inch trimmer, which you can see here. And I want to trim 1/2 inch off 2 sides so I can mat it to the cardstock. Now, if you wanted to preserve paper, you may cut it out, cut the cardstock out as a frame. So you could have leftover cardstock. Two sides, 1/2 inch, and that will give me a 1/4 inch border. So just pop those to one side in case we decide to use them later. I might use the reverse sides possibly. So that is going to give us a 1/4 inch border. So our next job is to adhere that to our cardstock. Go ahead and do that. You could use the repositionable tape, but I like to make sure it's stuck down, so I'm using the standard tape runner. And the 13-inch by 13-inch mat will help you line it up precisely. And when I started with Creative Memories, like over 20 years ago, our pages were really basic, and I didn't want to go back to being as basic as that, because I don't think anyone wants to be that basic anymore. But this is still simple because it's minimum tools to reach a great effect. So there's our backing. Now our next thing is I've cut my photos, chosen 4 photos, and I've cut them 3 1/4 inch by 3 1/4 inch. So I'm going to make 4 mats out of the other sheet of steel cardstock. That was hard to get out. Which I'll cut 4 inches by 4 inches and mat those 4 photos. So let's go ahead and do that now. And you'll need 4 mats. I debated whether to use a different colour, but I think it'll just tie it all in nicely, especially with that decorative print. And the 12-inch trimmer just cuts through it so effortlessly. One. Two, three, and we will need one more. If you join me on Sunday, I am paying homage to the original strip and triangle class that we had like 18 years or something ago. So feel free to join me for that. So not the same, but different. So now, I'll just pop that to one side. And we can mat those 4 photos. And I know steel is quite an unusual colour to use with these photos, which I think the flowers are Banksia. Beautiful flowers at Mount Dandenong in Victoria. If you don't live there and you get there, you have to go to the Botanical Gardens. Just stunning. And the other one was that might be the Banksia, and that might be a poinsettia, is it? No, it's not a poinsettia. I'm having one of those days where I just can't think. But the flowers there are just stunning. And I will have to find the right names for them. So 3 3/4 seems to be a really good size if you're going to trim photos down, because then you get a 4x4 mat. And it seems to just work really nicely. So there's my photos all matted, ready to go. Now this is where we're going to create the squares in squares effect. Pop that to one side as well. So with our first full piece of decorative paper, we want to cut 4 5-inch by 5-inch squares. Get rid of that, put that to one side. Don't need the rest of it. So 1, 2, and this page is, because it is a back to basic class, it makes a great layout for something really quick and easy. Won't need that leftover piece either. There's a couple of pieces left over you can keep for scraps for later on. Okay. Three. And the last one. 4. Okay, so there's our 4 5-inch squares. And they will be, I think I'll use repositionable for this. We want to get them, so you'll need, if you use the lines on your mat, if you have a 13-inch by 13-inch mat, it will help you line them up to get them fairly even. So you can end up with them something similar to this, roughly. And in the center. Then we are going to cut with our leftover cardstock before that we used to mat the photos with. Leftover steel cardstock before I stick those down. I'll just set that to one side. So there's a lot of using the trimmer with this. Now I wish to cut 8 2.5 by 2.5 inch squares, and we will need 8 of them. I had to stop and think about that. Get rid of that extra strip. Now I have finished cutting my 8 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares. I did have to use a 3rd sheet of cardstock, so whether you want to do this or just cut your decorative squares is up to you, because I was 1 square short, unfortunately. But you can do it without the cardstock backing. I just decided that I wanted to have that for the to base the decorative squares as well. So we're going to change our blade over to a decorative blade of your choice. I'm going to use, as I said earlier, the Victorian, put it up the right way, the Victorian blade with the Creative Memories trimmer. The blades actually store underneath, which is brilliant, and then they just drop in, so it makes choosing a decorative blade, changing to a decorative blade really easily. So now I need to cut 8 squares out of this paper that are 2.25 inch by 2.25 inch with the decorative blade. So the first one, we will just give it the decorative edge to begin with. So there's our first cut. I'll turn it over, you might be able to see that. It's hard to see it. And then turn it around and line it up at 2.25 inches on your trimmer. And do the next cut. This is a really good layout for your leftover scraps. Once again, I'm just going to get rid of the edge to give it a decorative edge. Get rid of that little piece. And then start cutting my 2.25 inch pieces. And keep going until you have 8 cut. we'll move on when I'm finished cutting them. Okay, now I have finished cutting my 8 decorative 2 1/4 by 2 1/4 inch squares. Now it's time to pop it all together. And I've had a look at how I want the layout to work, and I've decided that instead of using the red side of my squares, I think it's going to be more effective with this lovely neutral dot. So let's start by putting together, move this out the road, the decorative squares with the plain squares. So they're purely just a mount to help it pop. Now I could use either side, but I really, because they're the photos of flowers and their nature, I'd like to use these leaves because I think the colours are fantastic. So we'll use a bit of repositionable tape runner and adhere all 8 squares. So I'll keep going and I'll come back to you when I have finished. Now I have finished adhering all my decorative paper to my steel cardstock. I have 8 of these done. Now it's time to put this layout together. So we're nearly there. It's quite a simple layout. So as I said, I've decided to use this side of the paper rather than that. I think it's going to work better with the decorative paper. And just a note on the decorative paper, if you pick something that's quite colourful and quite a print in a small amount, will work really nicely with the layout. So now with this, I am going to use the 13 by 13 inch mat and my 12 inch repositionable tape to line up where I want my squares. Now about 1/2 inch out from using the 1/2 inch mark on your 13 inch by 13 inch mat will get you pretty much in the right place where you need to be. So let's start adhering these down, and we want them roughly all in about the same spot. So this is where the 13 inch by 13 inch mat is a very useful tool. So we'll line up this side. Try to get it nicely spaced. It's about even. I think I need to move my mat over slightly. When you have, it helps when you have a layout like this that needs to be quite even, having a mat to help you line it up. And last but not least, roughly thereabouts. And this is why I love repositionable tape. If it's not in the right spot, it's so easy to move. Right, now once we've got our 4 large squares down, now we need to place our smaller squares, and they are going to go close to the edge like this and slightly over the edge this way. And our photo, our 4x4 photo, or 4x4 mounted photo, will go in the center. So let's go ahead and stick all of those down, adhere those down. So you just need to leave, you can visually do it if you like, or you can measure it, but just a very small edge. You're going to end up being about 3/8 of an inch out, I think. And we want it just so it's going to be just on the other side of the 6 here on your mat. The next two will be pretty much the same, starting with the outer corner on the right hand side. You can see, I might turn that way, so I've got the red to the outer edge. So it just overlaps that larger mat slightly. Next one. I'm going to line it up so it's heading towards the center of the mat, but still overlaps. So this is why it's a square in square. Once again, outer edge. And towards the center. Just leaving a nice evenly spaced gap. And the last two. Oh, let's make the red on the outside. I think that gives a nice contrast. And the last one. And now we're ready to add our photos. You can see that you know, that's all geometrically spaced evenly. So now with the mounted photos, and I could have chose a different color besides the steel. If I wanted to make it pop a little bit more, I could have done a green or something different, but I don't mind it like that. But you can still see, you can see when the photos will be placed, you can still see some of those lovely leaves poking through, as well as it doesn't take away from the photos itself. So let's go ahead and adhere those down, and I'll come back to you. You can see that the photos are all adhered, and all we've got left to do is to embellish. So if you don't have the decorative blade, you could have cut these squares with a straight edge, 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I just like to add the extra you know, bit of enhancement. The other thing you could do, if you're into archival inks, you could ink the edge as well, and also with your cardstock, long as it's not directly on the photo. So there's lots of play options with this layout, and it is using limited tools. So most people have a 12-inch trimmer who are doing scrapbooking, and so, you know, you don't need a lot of tools to create it, and it's quick and easy. With the embellishments, because it's once again nature, I have chosen to go with just three leaves. Just trying to work out which way I'm going to go. Maybe like that in the center, and the word perfect. So I will use some repositionable tape to pop that down. The repositionable tape runner is just the best. The nice thing about the Creative Memories collections is they just all go together. I think I'll do the other leaf first, so I can put the blue and gold one over the top. out slightly. There we go. And the last one over the top, the middle. And I think I'm going to use some foam squares to pop our word perfect up with. So just some small ones will do. There we go, we'll take the backings off, and that's about all we'll need, and that can go across there. And our layout is complete. Please ask me if you have any questions. Thank you.